Very good, friends. Hi, Doc South here. Another day, another blurb. and another one about Chester. Uh, I don't know if this will be posted in the History of Chester site or not. If it is, fine. If not, it'll be on my Facebook page. And I'm enjoying getting videos posted there. It's a great site. You want to see some of the old sites, especially if you're from Chester, New Jersey, and even if you aren't, it is of interest because they're painting a picture of the well of a town that was just a great place to grow up, like so many towns were here in America during the 50s and 60s. It was a great time to be alive in this country, I'm thinking. And we had a ball. And I'm sure kids out in, oh, may name a town on the outskirts of Reading or kids, down in Wilson, North Carolina or over in Marietta, Georgia, or one of the smaller towns. They had themselves a great time growing up. In any case, one thing my friends liked, I came to Chester, I was in fifth grade, so I was about 10, give or take. And one thing the kids around me liked to do was mess with model trains. We used to love to put them together, build our little train sets. I had one in the basement. Pretty much it sat on a board slightly bigger than a sheet of plywood. So it was a little bigger than 4 by 8. I think it was more like maybe 5 by 8, something like that. And, I'd paint it to look like a landscape, and my trains ran in an oval, and then I had a few cutoffs and, things like that. I had a trestle I had built, a bridge, got a tunnel, and you'd play with your trains. It was fun. Yeah, you'd try to do what you could to, you know, make it look cooler every chance you got. And the you'd get those little Plasticville villages. Yeah, those little buildings. You might have a church, a laundromat, Plasticville laundromat, right? Yeah. You could actually you could have a ball collecting Plasticville if any of it survived, being in the hands of us kids. They're wonderful, beautiful toys, and I would assume collectible. Probably quite valuable now. They weren't a whole lot of money back then. All these, the Plasticville Village items. You might have a general store, a supermarket, hardware, school. Yeah, houses, of course, and just kind of middle class America, I guess, was pretty much what they depicted. It was neat. Yeah. The But in any case, so I had this set, and of course, every now and then, you'd have your friends over, and you'd be playing. My friend Marty had come over. Marty and me would be working on the train. And Marty said one day, he says, "Hey, do you know?" He says, "There's this out on Parker Road. There's this guy. He's got a train." I said, "What do you mean he's got a train? You mean like the one that was in town here, the steam train?" No, he says, "Well, it's like that, but it's smaller gauge." He says it's like what you'd see in an amusement park. And I said, "I heard about this, Marty. You're right." Well, it was a nice day. We got on our bikes and we rode out there, about 2 miles away, few hills, and we were riding up Parker Road. We're riding up the road a bit, and gee, I thought I heard a train whistle. I said, "We must be getting close." And indeed, this fella on Parker Road in Chester, Chester Township by that point, not the borough. We look, and over to our left, there's a train like you'd see in an amusement park, where you kind of sat in seats that looked like coach cars, and a guy who was running this locomotive. He was running a locomotive along that rode on a track that went around this big pond where folks could go swimming. Yeah, I said, well, will you look at that? My God. Well, of course we had to stop. There was a bit of I don't know if there was an admission to get in or not. Whatever it was, we had, even if it may have even been free to walk in. I mean, we were just kids, for crying out loud. And you probably had to pay to get on the train. But it was a fellow in town named Mr. Seals. Mr. Seals. And where I think he had a bit of a snack bar in this building, and it was sort of like a model train museum. He had some of the real old stuff, from like the 20s, the big gauge that would make this look like an HO car. Yeah, big. and he had all sorts of layouts of little miniature layouts and stuff, but mostly he had this train that, and now it ran on tracks that were, I think the width would have been maybe 1.5 foot gauge. Yeah, he had a doggone railroad going, and look at that. Now I think he had cutoffs. He could go into the woods a little bit and back out around the pond, and I guess it was something like 50 cents to ride the thing. Well, of course we we dug into our pockets. We didn't. Well, we came back another day with some money to go on that, and gosh, and he saw we weren't necessarily the richest kids on earth, if I recall right. He said, "Well, here, you guys, that'll be good. You guys just stay on and have yourself a ball." Yeah, and we're riding along. Doggone, that was something. Yeah, we used to drop in there a lot, and then we find out that Mr. Seals had a model train store. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now we thought we died and went to heaven. He had a model train store in a town called Far Hills, which I think is about 7 miles south of Chester along Route 206, kind of between Chester and Somerville. And we would ride our bikes down. If we had a day where we got out of school at 1, we'd ride our bikes down to Mr. Seals' store, and we'd work hard, get up a few bucks, and we'd buy a train accessory. Yeah, maybe I'd get maybe a semaphore signal, and Marty, maybe he got a tunnel or a trestle set, and then we'd then say we'd buy it, and we'd usually be there as Mr. Seals was. Like the final hour and a half of his workday, and he'd say, "What, you kids? I've seen you kids before. You're from Chester. What are you doing all the way down here in Far Hills?" "Well, we came to see your store." He says, "Well, okay. Listen," he says, what we'll do is you guys hang out a bit, look over the sets. Don't go messing with anything. I'll show you what I do to make some of these things, these trees and the houses and stuff. He said, if you want, I'll show you." And then when it's quitting time, you can just throw your bikes into my pickup truck. I'll ride you up the hill back to Chester. What do you say? Well, that sounds good. So we were thinking about that ride home. Man, it was going to take us we'd be getting in around midnight and getting the whooping of our lives. So that's what we would often do. We'd ride down. Every now and then we'd ride down and realize he was closed. Then we had to go back up the hill. Oh man, yeah. But it was a great little store, and he would build these model train sets for the rich people that were. For the life of me, I would sooner build my own. That's where the fun is. But I guess maybe rich people are too busy, and he'd build these things for 10 foot by 10 foot, bigger, maybe real miniature gauge. I mean, it looked like a whole darn city there. And I guess he made pretty good money doing that for those folks. And so we were always down there. I know one day I drove down, I had to get a bunch of little, I think you call them lecithin, lichen. Yeah, it's like fungus. And they somehow catch it, dry it out, and it looks like trees or bushes. And that made my set look a little more authentic. Yeah, but again, Mr. Seals, quite the neat guy, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I haven't been by that way in a long, long time. We're talking the late 50s, early 60s, and it could be that he's now, Yeah, well, that it's not even there anymore, but it was at one time. It was quite the thing to go see, and yeah, I guess he'd get people showing up, for the train ride and a swim, and he had a bit of a snack bar, knocked out hamburgers and stuff, if I recall right, and darn, and that train shop, the model train shop down in Far Hills. Oh my God, it was super, absolutely super to see. Anyway, enough said. We'll catch you later, friends, and thank you. Okay, bye now. God bless.